Hey, beautiful souls. Let's get into your reading. These readings are timeless. They are for any and all signs. This reading will find you when you are ready. All right, let's get into it. What messages want to come through? I guess a lot of messages want to come through, but we're going to put them face down for now so they don't distract me from the channeled message. What messages want to come through for the collective? All right, feeling a lot of good energy, feeling a lot of excitement, feeling like things are really moving forward as I say that. The Magician, so manifestation, definitely things are moving forward. You're creating something, you're brewing something. I feel like in this reading we want to talk about relationships. It may not be love, but it's definitely relationships. I feel like maybe you're making some headway in a relationship. Maybe you're feeling more connected to someone than you ever have before. You guys, your communication is improving. It's like you're suddenly on the same wavelength and it feels amazing. And you think about all the possibilities that you guys can do together now that you're like on the same page, and it feels wonderful. I do want to say that there are a lot of things that you two can do, or it could be, I think it's you two, it's you and another person, but it could be more, like if it's like a friend group or something like that. But yeah, I'm just gonna say you two. So you two can do a lot, but just remember that sometimes whenever we have this idea or this inspiration, okay, so it's kind of like whenever we do manifest, since the Magician came out, whenever we manifest, we get this idea of this thing, and we're like, oh, I really want that. We see something in the world, we're like, oh, I really want that. Or we suddenly get this like just inspiration somehow, like all of a sudden, like this is something that I want. And then it doesn't quite materialize just then. There's always like a period of time where it seems like it's not really going to work out, or it's something that fades away, or it was just like kind of like a pipe dream that, maybe I was just fantasizing a little bit too much. And then it does work out down the line. It just doesn't work out immediately, because even though the idea is there and the inspiration is there and you start manifesting for it, there are certain things that need to come into place before that can happen. So that's what I feel here, is that yes, whatever you are envisioning could happen now with whatever this is, which I think it's a relationship, this other thing. It can happen. It can definitely happen. But just know, we'll just take the example of a person. Just know that if it, there are things that have to be in place. So maybe now you two are building your communication, and now you're on the same wavelength, and it feels really good, and it feels like all these ideas are coming, and like all this potential of everything that you two could be together. Cool. But maybe that person needs to learn a few other things, because like now you've overcome the communication and you're able to have these heart-to-heart deeper discussions, or just like idea discussions, or just whatever it is. But now maybe this person needs to work on their sense of belief, or maybe they need to work on their commitment to something, or maybe maybe they're all flow and no structure, or they're all structure and no flow, and somehow they need to kind of work on those things. So, those things need to be in place before you two can actually start something and build something together, whatever the idea may be. Because if you were to start now, they're not really ready, and maybe they'll get excited, but if they're too flow and not enough structure, they'll only want to work on it when they feel like it. And then that kind of puts you in a place where you can't really move forward in a way, because you're always at the mercy of when they feel like it. And so something that can maybe normally take you 6 weeks might take you like 6 months or 9 months because it's just working on whenever they feel like it. Or if they're not really committed, it might be like, yeah, you work on it and they sometimes join you, but sometimes don't, and they don't always follow through on the things. So you end up doing a lot of the bulk, and it's not really as fun, and you like that you're working on it together, and that feels really great, but it really could be better. So that is why sometimes whenever we manifest, things don't happen immediately. It's because, a lot of times in the community, we say it's because we don't believe, like in the manifestation community, it's like, well, you just don't believe enough, and that's why it hasn't happened. But that's not usually the case, because a lot of times I feel like in most cases, you don't actually have to believe your manifestation is going to come, because if you're inspired to it, then it is destined to be yours, at least in some form or fashion. So you don't have to believe it, it's already yours. But sometimes you do have to get ready for it. And I know a lot of people think about that, like, for example, in terms of a love relationship, they might be like, yeah, you need to make space in your life for your partner, so you need to clear out your closet and make room for them. Yes, but that's like more of a psychological thing, which, yes, that's important. But also, if you are, let's say, wanting to bring in a partner, it's not just about clearing the space in your closet. I never did that. It's about preparing yourself, and are you ready to really have that relationship, right? Do you have all the skills that it takes to be somebody that would have that partnership and be able to grow it and continue it, etc.? So yeah, this person that you're excited about may not have the things to make things sustainable yet. So these ideas that you have, exciting, it's going to happen. But just know that the other person may have to go through a journey first before that can really be ready and to materialize. So don't get discouraged. Long story short, don't get discouraged. Okay, let's take a look at the cards. Okay, so this came out sideways. I'm going to keep it sideways for that reason. I usually keep cards as they come out. So yeah, I think definitely there's a lot of ideas with the Page of Wands that you're wanting to put out there, and you're putting it out there and you're wondering, am I going to get it back? Is it going to be something that comes back to me? It's like a boomerang. I put that idea out. Is the person going to send it back to me? Obviously, that's not how a boomerang works. It always comes back to you. And that is the truth here. It doesn't matter how things appear, it is going to come back to you. And it is going to be something that you're able to manifest. You're definitely in your power. You're definitely manifesting. So in this scenario, if it does involve another person, I talked about how they need to grow. And the reason why it's they need to grow is because you have been doing the manifestation work. So you have already grown. Now, for some of you, not all of you, but I think a large portion of you, this other person might be somebody who is someone that could get into the spiritual realm. So maybe they don't necessarily want the same flavor of spirituality as you do, but there is something that could entice them and interest them. And so you could help them in that way, in a way that speaks to their flavor, and help them kind of grow in those ways so that you two can be ready for things together, because you've already grown. And they might look at you and be like, wow, you've really grown a lot and like accomplished a lot, and like, how did you do that? And so you might be able to kind of guide them in a flavor that works for them to be able to manifest things for themselves, and through that grow in the ways that they need to kind of be able to do something together. Whatever journey you're going to be on, there is one that you want to take with them, and you're currently on this journey, a new journey with them, right? Because it's now you're finally on the same wavelength. It's a new phase of your journey together. So you're beginning something new, and you don't always know how that's going to look, right? You're on the same wavelength now. Is that something that's going to last? I do think that it is, but of course everybody is fluctuating. You're fluctuating, they're fluctuating. They're not going to be in the same mood every day. So just kind of like navigating what that journey looks like, and kind of mapping out what the patterns of your new relationship are going to be. And that makes it a little bit more like easier to deal with. If you know that somebody often gets triggered by this one thing, then you know that if that one thing comes up, that they're going to be triggered. And then if they're a little bit more short with you, you know it has nothing to do with you. It's about that thing. And so you no longer take things personally, and you can, allow them to take the time that they need to heal from that and maintain your relationship without it kind of dragging you down. So understanding like those patterns. And you also can kind of identify how you operate. Something triggers you, or something kind of starts to pull you away from your new friendship or relationship or business, whatever it is. You know what that is. And then like, oh, it has nothing to do with them, or it's not something that's going to last. I just have to overcome this one thing. I know what it was that triggered me. And so then, the patterns become more predictable, and you're able to manage them better as a result. Definitely a connection. Whatever this connection is, does seem to be a very much a soul connection. Again, I do feel like it's a person, but it does not have to be a person necessarily. You can have a soul connection with a career. You can have a soul connection with a business that you're starting. So whatever it is, you're definitely going to have a lot of success. Things are definitely headed in the right direction. Do not get caught off guard with things that don't seem to be panning out. Just because things are going really well right now in this moment does not mean that it's going to stay that way. it is going to stay that way, but again, there are ups and downs. And I think sometimes when things are going really well and then all of a sudden there's a little bit of a crash, we wonder, what did I do wrong and why didn't it stay? And, like, how can I do things differently? And you just have to remember that that's just life. There's ups and downs and nothing stays stagnant ever, ever, even if it looks that way. Even this table that is hard and looks like it's here is still in some way shifting and changing. Right? There are molecules and atoms that are constantly moving within it or vibrating within it. And then also like it's deteriorating over time. And I can't see that. I'm not going to see that for a while, but there's still change that's happening. So nothing ever stays stagnant, except for maybe plastic. And that's a problem, right? That's a problem. You don't want things to stay stagnant. Then they can't evolve. Then they can't move, they can't transform, they can't be fleshed out, they can't, integrate with us in the right ways. So yeah, but you're definitely stepping into your own power. There's definitely a rebirth, and whatever this relationship is, you guys are definitely building something again. We have rebirth, and then we have the Empress. Like, that's double rebirth, double birth, double something good that is going to materialize from this. So definitely keep it going and take the journey as it is. Remember, it is a journey. Journeys are journeys. Any journey, any movie that you watch, any show that you watch, any story that you listen to, a complete journey involves ups and it involves downs. But the best journeys are ones in which you overcome any of the downs. Your downs are not going to be that major. And they're not going to be that major because we had this conversation. Because if we didn't have this conversation, you might be thinking, we had this connection and now it seems to be like it's disintegrating a little bit. It's not where it was, and you can spiral, or they can spiral. And now you're not going to, because you know that it's not spiraling, it's just a moment in time, and that moment is going to pass and things are going to go back to what you have been building together. And you know that if there's something you want to do even more, if it's another person with this person, or if there's something you want to do more with your business, that, there's certain things that maybe your business has to go through first, or that your friend or your partner has to go through, and to be ready for it to be something really miraculous. And any stagnation is not actually stagnation. It is forward movement, right? Because there is no stagnation. So even stagnation is forward movement, even though it might look like it's going backwards or not moving at all. But there's some growth, there's some shift, there's some change, there's some death and rebirth that is happening before you can have that new birth, right? Death is coming before the Empress. So that has to happen before that. So a new creation can be had. But just as with the Empress, just as with when somebody is pregnant, there is a lot that has to happen to formulate a baby. All of those steps need to happen. Otherwise, it doesn't go well, right? It doesn't go well, and sometimes it doesn't even happen at all. So certain things need to happen so that it can be successful, so it can be healthy. And you don't want to rush that process. Now, because you're dealing not with creating a child, so you can rush the process in terms of like, let's learn the lessons. Well, if the person wants to, like, it's their process and their journey. So you can in this particular case, but there is an order to things. There are certain like growth areas that need to be overcome and experiences that need to be have to kind of help with that. Yeah. And that's just how that goes. So anyways, all of this is really positive. All of this is really good. All of this should be comforting you and exciting you. And you're going to get only closer because you may be able to help them on their journey and connect in a spiritual way. And honestly, this is all very, very positive. So this Ace of Cups that's sideways is that you may feel this teeter-totter. You may have felt originally this teeter-totter is the first card, but now we've talked. And now all we see is soul connection and success, right? That's been the journey that we've been on. We started here and now we're here. So yeah, like you may have felt before, like, should I feel good? Should I not feel good? I'm feeling good today, but not tomorrow, or not yesterday, or whatever it is. Now you know that it's all good. All right. So I am going to leave it here. Thank you so much, as always, and I will catch you in the next one.